everyone that has joined us today, and good morning to you also, Dr. Mlambo. Can I just please get a thumbs up just to confirm if you can hear me? Everybody in the room, can I just get an indication if you can all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Good morning again.
Good morning. Thank you. So welcome to yet another workshop with the Research Capacity Development Unit at the University of Johannesburg Postgraduate School. I officially welcome you into today's workshop, which is titled Research Mindset for Masters and PhD Students. My name is Kokezo Pila and I will be your moderator for today's session. And firstly, I would just like to notify you that the session is being recorded and I have already started the recording. And I would also just like to start off by thanking all the attendees for taking the time to join us today in this workshop. And most importantly, I would like to thank our presenter, Dr. Farai Mulambo, for his efforts with preparing and giving this presentation today. So before I can then officially introduce Dr. Mlambo to you, please allow me to just remind you of the housekeeping rules and some important information. So for the housekeeping rules, if you do have questions during the presentation, please raise your hand if you would like to speak. Alternatively, you can type your question in the chat box. I will then indicate to the presenter to address your question. And as I have already mentioned, that the session is being recorded and the presentation slides will be requested from Dr. Mlambo, and both the recording and the slides will be uploaded on RCDMS before the end of this week. And also just to inform you that after this workshop, please log into the RCDMS again so that you can complete the feedback survey for this particular workshop, and a certificate of attendance will automatically be generated for you to download. Please note that if you do not complete the feedback survey, you would not be able to obtain the certificate of attendance. Without further ado, I will then introduce our presenter, Dr. Farem Lambo, by reading out his bio. So Dr. Farem Lambo holds a PhD in mathematical statistics and is currently pursuing a second PhD in computer science. He is a senior lecturer in digital business, data analytics, and artificial intelligence at Wits Business School, having previously lectured in mathematical statistics for 7 years at Wits University School of Statistics and Actuarial Science. Dr. Mlambo also serves as a research fellow at the Machine Intelligence and Neural Discovery Institute, co-chaired the Statistics Education Interest Group of the South African Statistical Association, an associate in statistics at the National Institute for Theoretical and Computational Sciences. His teaching and research span data science, artificial intelligence, Bayesian machine learning, and statistics education. He has supervised numerous postgraduate students across Africa and co-founded several interdisciplinary and international academic support networks. His new book, A Survival Guide for Every Postgraduate Journey, provides practical and motivational insights for navigating the emotional and strategic challenges of postgraduate study. Without further ado, I will then hand over to our presenter, Dr. Farai Mlambo, to take us through this workshop. Over to you, Dr. Mlambo.
Well, thank you. That was very kind, and I really appreciate the introduction. And thank you, everyone, for making the time to come listen to this little presentation, or rather participate in the workshop at this time of the year. I guess there's a lot of things that are happening everywhere in different countries. I can imagine some are probably on other time zones, etc. I really appreciate your presence. I'm sorry, I won't be sharing my face, as it were, but I don't look very different from what you see in that little picture there. Of course, that is more of just breaking the ice too. I hope you've got that as a joke. But as my colleague said there, I'm basically here at Wits Business School. We're neighbors with the University of Johannesburg. In fact, I do some work with the University of Johannesburg as well. I participate in some of the examination and things like that for the Johannesburg Business School. And also, I'm a student at the University of Johannesburg. I'm actually doing a PhD with the University of Johannesburg. So, having said all that, maybe let's get into the motivation behind the workshop. I'm sharing a screen. Please confirm if you can see the screen. It's really a Microsoft Edge window with flyer that was shared to everybody. So great, I see some thumbs up. So I'm circling something there. I hope my annotation is coming through. Please let me know if it does come through. Um, maybe just a thumbs up as well. I've annotated something great. Thanks so much. So essentially, I've just written a book which was published about 3 months ago. And yeah, my life has really been around that book for the last 3 months, I must say. Even before that, it's such a commitment to put together some book of some sorts, etc. So I've been very passionate about, just delivering the message, as it were. I mean, the message on my heart, really, in this case, is the idea that research takes more than intellect. Research takes more than your technical abilities, as it were. We've got a lot of people who are very good in technical work, such as fitting a statistical model, or doing some form of empirical experiment and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of colleagues who can do and handle that very well. But what I picked up over the few years of my experience in academia as a student who also became a supervisor very soon, I've kind of interacted with close to 40 students on a supervision basis at the moment within the last decade, particularly within the mathematical sciences, where I was in the School of Statistics and Actuarial Science. Also did some supervision for data science projects and a bit of computer science, etc. I've noticed one thing that stood out for me is the fact that research is actually deeply personal, more than it is technical. There's a lot of emotional aspects of research that are overlooked. And the purpose of this workshop is really getting into that. So this is not a research writing methodology, or how to fit a structural equation model and things like that. I think there's good workshops that present that. There's good workshops that present all the writing skills. This is how you structure sentences. This is how you break down your literature review, etc., etc. I think there's good room for that, but what we're going to focus on this morning is really the soft skills around research, which I've claimed over the last so many months that this is actually very important. In fact, the mindset, which is the word that I've highlighted there, the mindset that you require, or that is required of you as a postgraduate student, is one thing that is overlooked. So, I mean, the title of the book really is A Survival Guide for Every Postgraduate Journey, which I mean, I called it survival. Someone might ask, why not thriving guide? I mean, the argument really is, before you can thrive, you need to survive. You need to survive before you can thrive. And I mean, there's a lot of journeys that kind of that don't survive because of the reasons that we're going to state very soon. So, I mean, the motivation really here is, how do you survive in the postgraduate journey? It's very different, to the undergraduate journey, where you are used to external validation and things like that. I mean, all of a sudden, there's no external validation. There's no one cheering you up. I mean, people, all they can say is how bad your work is. Maybe not in the sense of bad, but how badly your work needs improvement, type of stuff. So, So I listed 30 things in the book actually that I said you must have peace with before you get frustrated as a master's or as a PhD student. And my argument is you've got to take these things very seriously. If you are a first year PhD student, especially, which I guess there is a lot of first year PhD students here, I didn't do a poll, but if I may ask first year PhD students to raise their hands just for me to have an indication of who is here. Can we have a raise of hands of first year PhD students, for example? Um, okay, great. I see some hands going up. You can continue, please, if you don't mind. I can repeat. I'm asking first year PhD students to raise their hands. Okay, I see four. Okay, five. All right. We do have quite a number of first year PhD students here. Okay, about 10% of the attendance. How about PhD students in general? Can I have hands from PhD students in general? PhD students in general, whether you're first year or we won't mention all the years because I know some could be in the seventh year or eighth year. It's very possible. I mean, very possible. Can we just have raise of hands of PhD students? Okay, about seven PhD students. Okay. I hope the other ones are maybe trying to be anonymous, but okay. How about master students? How many master students do we have here? Can we have raise of hands for master students? Master students. Okay. So it looks like the bulk could be master students. Master students, continue, please. Please keep your hands raised. Okay, about 10 master students. That's awesome. Okay. Okay, do we have postdoctoral fellows here, perhaps? Because I'm trying to figure out who else is here. Do we have postdoctoral fellows here? Can we have raise of hands, postdoctoral fellows? Oh, I see two. Do we have aspiring postgraduate students? Do we have aspiring postgraduate students? Who else is here? Is it academics? Maybe. Okay, I see aspiring. Okay, there's quite a number of people aspiring. Or not postgraduate students yet, but maybe about seven of them. Okay, I guess the rest is then maybe my colleagues who supervising early career academics, etc. Postgrad diplomas. Do we have postgrad diplomas? Okay. Can we have raise of hands? I just want to have an indication of that as well. Postgrad diplomas, that's probably the aspiring as well. Okay, quite a number of them. It's great to have you postgraduate diploma. I think you are in the right space. I wish I was attending such a presentation as an honor student myself, um, uh, um, uh, back then. But colleagues, thanks so much for your availability. I now have a picture of who is in the room, and I appreciate that. So, I mean, the book really talks about all the maybe not all, but most of the soft side of issues that you need to get settled with if you want to make a good master's degree and a good PhD thesis, etc. All right. So you got this, I guess. You read this. I'm just going to highlight one or two things here, where we talk about the journey being a deeply personal journey. I mean, this is now that part of your life where you actually draw more from inside than from outside. Okay, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? There's going to be a lot of things that you have to um, kind of dig deep into yourself and get used to this type of thing or adapt to this type of approach or this type of feedback and things like that. And this is unlike what normally happens when you are doing an undergraduate degree. Okay, so if you're doing an undergraduate degree, there's a lot of dependence on what is in the textbook, what did the lecturer say, what does the syllabus say, and things like that. Okay, I'm taking this very slow because I want you to see the picture of where we're going. Okay, just in case you've got something else that you need to attend and you leave early, type of thing, maybe you have a good picture of what the seminar or the workshop is really all about. So the point is, um, you've got to kind of shift the thinking or the mindset. Let's put it that way. You've got to shift the way you think when you switch from undergraduate to postgraduate studies. All of a sudden, there's an expectation that you should be independent. And this goes a very, I mean, this goes very deep at a at a PhD level. At a master's level, they kind of start sometimes with coursework and things like that. But I don't remember any PhD with coursework, particularly in the global South setup where we are. So it's essentially the mindset has got to change. The mindset has got to change. Where you had a syllabus, all of a sudden there's no syllabus. Where you had a textbook, there's no textbook anymore. Where you had a lecturer, now you've got a supervisor. And the role of the supervisor is not really similar to the role that the lecturer was playing in your undergraduate studies. So the lecturer would kind of come and stand in front of you and tell you that you must understand this, explain what you must understand, and then you must follow and then maybe assimilate that and regurgitate it somewhere, whether it's in a test setup. But of course, there will be also some expectation that you should understand what the lecturer is saying and maybe present that in an assignment, which is kind of guided in a sense. There's an objective given to you that the assignment seeks to achieve A, B, C, blah, blah, blah. Go and use these resources to do the assignment, etc., etc., etc. But that goes out of the window when you come to postgraduate studies. Particularly, we're talking about research in postgraduate studies at a master's and at a PhD level. The expectation is for you to start discovering the problems in the forest. Okay, you are left in the forest, and you are told that this is the right forest that you're supposed to be, but you must start looking for the right trees. Okay, you must start looking for the right trees, and you find supervisors like myself, which are a bit harsh to students. I guess some of you have supervisors like myself. I guess this is a good warning for you not to come for me for co-supervision and things like that. It's a joke, but it's a realistic. People who tell you that I'm not meant to teach you how to cut the trees, but to show you if you are still in the right forest and things like that. Make sure you are cutting the right trees. Come and show me the trees you're cutting. Then we'll discuss whether those are the right trees, type of thing. Okay. I don't see people laughing, but I've been joking now and then. Please do take my jokes also as jokes. Okay. So the point is, this is the framework that we're dealing with. This is the framework that we're dealing with. I'm going to jump into something now. So you would have seen here self-doubt, procrastination, student-supervisor relationships. They're also very important, but everything revolves around the mindset that is required for research. So I personally wish that I had gone through a workshop like this when I started out my journey as a master student more than 10 years ago, I think almost 15 years ago. Okay. So if I may then just allow you to give me some expectations that you have for the workshop. But it's a workshop, as the word entails, it's a workshop. You are scaring us, Matlatsa. Yes, that's the point. Not to scare you off, but to kind of tell you how you must prepare for your journey. I think that's the whole point. So if you flip that scare, you might take this as being informed in a sense. There's a lot of issues around postgraduate research that a lot of people jump into without knowing what is happening there. And then all of a sudden they realize that, sure, this is too difficult or something. But the point is, everyone goes through that. So the whole purpose of this book is really to normalize the struggles that students face and show some tools that one can use to overcome those challenges and things like that. So, I mean, don't stress much, Matlatse. It's not all about me showing you how difficult postgraduate studies is, but it's also showing the tools how you can navigate. I hope that is in order. Okay, let's start with some expectations from your side. I've been doing a lot of talking already, and I see the numbers are still going up nicely. Can we get some expectation from you guys? What is your expectation for this workshop? I mean, if you can just type for me quickly. I know my colleagues and students at UJ, you are very good with all these digital tools, right? UJ is very good with AI and digitalization and digital transformation. So if you can just type for me quickly, I would appreciate. I'll give 2 minutes for that. It's not going to be a long exercise. Just type your expectation. Type for me what you expect to gain from this workshop, please, everybody. I would appreciate that. Okay, I'll be switching on to some other presentation as we speak, some other screen. Can I get some expectations, please? Don't be shy. I mean, this is a university setup, right? Um, just type quickly. What is your expectation? What do you expect to take away from this session? Um, okay, to live motivated and with strategies to keep me resilient for the journey. Great. That's a great expectation, Ashley. That's a great expectation. I'm expecting more. I'm expecting more empowered mindset to push and remain motivated throughout the postgraduate studies. Great, Masha, that's a great. Awesome. Can I get more, please? Um, Strategies to work smart and remain motivated. Awesome. I realize postgraduate studies go with personal stress, expectations on dealing with loss. Okay, during postgraduate studies. Great. Strategies to work smart and remain motivated. Great. Awesome. Can I get a little more? Colleagues, this is not compulsory, but I think it's also a way of you engaging with this workshop already, because if you just listen to me, it's going to be very passive. So if you can also think about what you're here for, type of thing, I think that is going to be also very beneficial for you. How to strengthen our emotional and mental capacity during our studies. Great. That's awesome. What's truly challenging about pursuing a master's degree? Okay, okay, someone wants to know that. Is it just okay, I think it's something that I missed there. Where is it? Okay. Is it just academic content being difficult? Not at all. I don't think it's the academic content being difficult. I think it is to do with some of the things we're going to discuss now, Gudan. That's a great question. So if you think about things like how do you deal with feedback and things like that, I'm going to touch on that, because this is the type of issues that a lot of students face. Taking feedback personally, how to deal with rejection. You submit your paper and it's rejected. How do you take that? Okay. Or managing the workload, tight deadlines. Workload also, time management issues come in. Yes, particularly if you're part time. You'll see my first chapter in the book speaks to that exactly. Balancing studies and family and other responsibilities. Yes, there's a lot of balls to juggle. Okay. And at some stage, you need to know which balls to drop, because some balls can bounce back, some don't bounce back, some break when you drop them, etc. We'll talk about that. Knowing where to get support for research, personal development, great, exactly. And I mean, you are in the right space, Menzi. I mean, look, this workshop is run by the research capacity development, and this is the space that provides support for students, particularly at UJ. I mean, you've got a bigger office, the postgraduate office, etc., and one needs to familiarize themselves with all this type of support. I'm expecting to gain deeper insight into developing a strong research mindset, and that will help me stay motivated, disciplined, and confident. Great. I like the word disciplined. There's actually a full chapter that I'm going to show you very soon on discipline. I mean, it's great to have tools, etc., but it's more important to be disciplined. Strategies to deal with procrastination. Great. We'll talk about these too. If we can keep our mics muted, that would be great. Merrick, thank you. Is there any way my colleagues who are administering can mute all participants? That will help. Strategies to deal with procrastination in writing. Great. We'll talk about this as well. It's part of the agenda. I mean, look, if you are going to read and not write, I mean, that's a very strategic way of procrastinating your work. You do a lot of reading but no writing at all. I'll talk about that. Strategic mindset and motivation, inspirations to deal with the respondents and prepare my defense for sure. Great. All right. Inspiration. I love that. Strategy. All I'm picking up here, the keywords is inspiration, strategy, motivation, things like that. That is what this session is really all about. How to balance, okay, time management again, how to build a positive relationship with supervisor. Great, great. I mean, if I may drop something there before I forget about it, Jekaira, I'm definitely butchering your name there. But the point is, your relationship with the supervisor is one most important relationship that you ever have at a university level. Your relationship with the supervisor is one very important relationship, and a lot of people or students rather don't realize that, that this is a very important relationship. Your supervisor nominates your examiners. Your supervisor, I mean, your degree is almost highly dependent on your relationship with your supervisor. I promise you. And there's a lot that you can do as a student to make that relationship positive. We do talk about it as well a little later on. Please remind me if I don't touch on this particularly because it's not really part of the main book, but I do have it in an annexure on student supervisor relationships, etc. How to come up with a good topic to be approved. Okay, I mean, that's a great expectation, but maybe not necessarily something that we're going to cover today. But I can give a bit of a hint on how to navigate around that. But yeah, that becomes a bit more technical for different disciplines, etc. But I hope we'll be able to help you, Dumisan. Knowing how to shift gears from honors to masters to PhD, great, great stuff. I noticed that thinking like an undergraduate made the honors journey be a bit challenging. Definitely, definitely. I mean, there is a different mindset required from undergraduate to honors. You start doing an honors project typically, and the amount of resources you are getting now become minimum. You can be given a big assignment without much guidance, etc. At honors level, they're trying to orient you towards independence and things like that. It's not the same. Yes, there's a new mindset that must be unlocked. Yes, and nobody talks about it. In fact, this is what I try to cover in the book. By the way, Latoya. Yeah, I think no one is really talking about this shift of mindset. I think students are expected to discover it for themselves, which I think it's a bit unfair at some stage, to expect students to discover everything by themselves. I think this is one part of the university system that really needs some decolonization, if we may put it that way. The fact that people must spend 3 months or 6 months to discover something. Why not tell them at the beginning, type of thing? And I think this is the argument behind my that. Some students waste 12 months to discover something that they could be told before they study, before they start at the orientation or something. It's a bit hard then to tell them, which is why I call them 30 hard truths. These truths are hard. I think someone commented earlier already that you're scaring us. But I think it's better to be scared than to waste 12 months, isn't it? Does someone agree with me? It's better for someone to tell you which blind spots exist in the journey ahead of you than for you to discover them for yourself and waste 12 months. You can waste 12 months of PhD first year, discovering things that you could have been told. That will be hard when you're told them, like in this setup. But I think you're kind of prepared, you're forewarned. Right. Equipped with tools to navigate this journey. Great strategies, tools, strategies. Better be scared than to waste time. Exactly, to miss out. Great. Thanks everybody for all these expectations. So what I'm doing here, I'm actually sharing with you the soft copy of the book, which I've learned to appreciate the fact that when I'm presenting workshops and seminars based on the book here, it's kind of difficult for me to actually put 40, 50 slides from. I mean, you might notice that this book is 438 pages. So I mean, there's a lot of issues that I'm discussing here, which are not easy to put in a PowerPoint slide type of thing. There's a lot of images that I'm going to show you. I don't have a problem with with doing that. I know some authors might feel, I mean, why do you show people the book? They won't buy the book, etc., etc. But I mean, look, the argument behind the book is not really just to make money type of thing. I mean, it's also just making an impact. So at the end of the day, there is some themes that I'm actually focusing on in the book here. I'm going to show you the 5 themes. Then we start the conversation right there. Okay. So allow me to just jump into the in the introduction here, where I will start with this framework here. This is the framework that I'm presenting in the book, and the workshop is also going to be around this framework. Think about yourself as someone who is sitting here. Think about yourself as someone who's sitting there. I hope you can see the 4 circles that I'm sharing here, colleagues. Please just a thumbs up if you can see the 4 circles I'm sharing here. Great. Okay. So you are sitting there as a student, whether you're doing masters or PhD, etc. And typically you have a supervisor who is based at the university you are studying, or sometimes if there's no capacity, they could be based from another university, etc. But basically we're saying there is someone who is available to guide your journey, and that is what they're being paid for, type of thing, etc., etc. Sometimes we've got 2 supervisors, or it's a supervision team. There's different models of supervision, but the point is there is some supervisor or someone assuming the supervisory role within your studies. Then, of course, there's an institution. In this case, it could be the University of Johannesburg, but this seminar being also something that a lot of people are coming from elsewhere. It could also be VETS, it could also be UNISA, etc. etc. The point is, you have got a home where you are kind of best. I mean, think about this as the university. It could be a lab or research lab, whatever. You're based at the CSIR, you're pursuing your studies. Maybe there's a relationship between the CSIR and UJ and things like that, whatever. But there is some kind of home where there is structure and policies and resources available. Like in this case, you can just about imagine that even the RCD at the University of Johannesburg sits here within the framework of the institution. So I'm saying those are visible pillars. Those are visible pillars. Those 3: the student, the supervisor, and the institution. They're very visible. Anyone can tell who is where there. Okay, but we also have an invisible pillar. I'm going to put that in red. This pillar here, which are called here peer support. It's very much underutilized by a lot of students. So you'll find students who, when the email is not working, they go to the supervisor and say to the supervisor, my email is not working, type of thing. Or, I don't know how to download R. You want to go to the supervisor for that. You want to go to the supervisor to tell them that my laptop is freezing. What should I do? Of course, this sounds like jokes, right? But it actually happens. My point is, there's a lot of students who don't realize what they're missing when they don't utilize peer support. Okay, what do I mean by peer support? Think about the people around you, the people in the lab where you are studying, the people in the faculty, the people in the department. Not necessarily that only. You would see that the part of the peer support is even people outside of your institution, somewhere here, for example. You can see where I'm shading there. It's people outside of your institution. You can think about those people also as people that you're sharing WhatsApp groups with and things like that. I mean, I'm co-running some WhatsApp groups. It was mentioned in the introduction. We have a global global interdisciplinary research network that we started about 5 years ago almost, where people share opportunities and share this and this and the other. I mean, I can always share that link with you, for example. But there's a lot of other spaces. It could be on ResearchGate, on LinkedIn, whatever, where you connect with people, outside your institution. But of course, within your institution, there's still a lot of people, even particularly, there's still peers here that you share the supervisor with over here. Okay, that you can also interrogate with and interact with and share some tips and things like that. So this is the framework. So having mentioned what the framework looks like, let's just jump into. You could have seen already what is expected from the student. For example, self leadership, resilience, independence, and the question is, how do you build all this stuff? This is what we're going to focus on, particularly with a research mindset. But let's go. Let's just jump here into the themes. So the themes that we're going to talk about as it relates to the research mindset. The first theme is actually very, very, very important. I could spend the whole workshop talking about the first theme here, the idea of ownership and responsibility. I've had students or even colleagues asking me, what is the most important thing that you think is very important? What is the most important thing in research or in postgraduate studies? After having written this book, I was asked that question at the launch. We did a launch at the Fifth Business School. By the way, there's going to be also another launch at the UJ, at UJ Library, etc. End of November. It would be great if you come. Then maybe you can meet. We can meet in person as well. But the point is, look, one most important thing that I hold dearly when it comes to advice for PhD and master students, etc., even early career academics. I think I'm transitioning now from early career to mid career. I got my PhD almost 7 years ago, etc. But the point is, look, ownership is one most important thing that anyone should get in peace with. You should be at peace with the idea that the masters that you're doing is your masters. The PhD that you're doing is your PhD. This degree does not belong to UJ. It does not belong, of course, UJ is issuing the degree. It does not belong to the supervisor. They've got a PhD already. It does not belong to your spouse or I don't know, the list can go on. It does not belong. Yes, you can say I dedicate this to my mother, etc. But this is your degree. At the end of the day, the point is you've got to take ownership of this program. You've got to take ownership of this journey. This is your journey. You've got to define what do you want this journey to be looking like? Okay. So, particularly at PhD level, this becomes very, very, very important. The idea that you've got to recognize that this is my journey. I'm not going to wait for a supervisor to ask me where I am. I'm going to tell the supervisor what's going on. I'm going to take initiative. I'm going to take the responsibility to communicate the schedule of our meetings. I'm going to set up those meetings. I'm going to, type of thing. This is the type of mindset that sets apart, sometimes the A student and the PhD graduate. Because the A student can still feel that, no, but I know my story. I know my story. If anyone asks me, I can tell them the story. But it's more than that. It's more than that. You've got to take initiative and follow up on the supervisor, especially if you have some of the celebrity supervisors, who are writing books, etc. Of course, this is a joke, right? If you have celebrity supervisors who travel and go overseas and things like that, and post on LinkedIn and this and this, if you have those type of supervisors, you might be surprised that they can literally forget about you if you don't send anything to them. Okay, because they're so busy. Sometimes you're dealing with an A-rated researcher who could also be the dean of the faculty or this and the other. If you don't take ownership, you'll find that 6 months can go and you have not had an interaction with the supervisor. Why? Because you find a student saying, I was waiting to hear from my supervisor. I always mention this statement. That is not acceptable as a student to say, I'm waiting to hear from my supervisor. Look, it's your degree. So we will talk about that. That point would definitely drive in very well. But look at this. Part-time study is not spare time study. Who agrees with me? Part-time study is not spare time study. Who agrees with me? Can I have a raise of hands or thumbs up or something? Who agrees with me? Okay, there's a lot of students who I can see people putting some thumbs up. Some people are disagreeing. They're saying, no, this is not exactly what I see. But the point is, you are going to learn this the hard way. If you probably don't take this now, particularly as a student who is working. If you are going to do everything in life and then say the remaining time is what I use for my research, you're going to see that there is no remaining time. So essentially, you have to make time for your research. Whether you're saying you do research 1 hour every morning before you go to work and another hour in the evening, that's 2 hours times five, that's 10. If you want to double up over the weekend, you have another 4 on the Saturday, another 4 on the Sunday. That makes it 8 plus 10. That's 18 hours. Did you guys just got the maths? Did you get the maths I just did now? Okay. That's an example. If you're going to set up and say, I have 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening for 5 days in the week, 2 hours over the weekend, whether you are too busy on the weekend and you want to remove, it's up to you. But the point is, you cannot afford to leave spare time for research. There is not going to be spare time if you're a part-time student, particularly. Okay. Then we get into things like, your supervisor is not your English editor. That's kind of very important. We're going to touch on this as well. Think about yourself sitting on the driver's seat. Okay, we're talking about ownership and responsibility. I mean, we're shifting your mindset, I believe, and this is what we're trying to do in this workshop. So think about your research as some car that is stationary somewhere. Okay, the car that is stationary somewhere, and you need to move this car. Where will you be sitting? I see some raised hands. Those are questions, I can definitely take some questions in sometime soon. Are there questions, Sandra and Mashlatse? Are those questions, or is it old hands? Uh, what do we normally do, colleagues? Do we take questions as we go, or do we? I see the one hand is down. Sandra, your hand is still up. Okay, it's also. Is that a question, Sandra?
Sandra, do you have a question, or it was just a raise of hand when
No,
um
it
Dr.
is
Hassan? Okay.
answer.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Sorry for that. Okay, so I was saying, think about your research as a car which is stationary somewhere. This car must go somewhere. Okay, this car has got to go somewhere. Where do you think you are sitting as a postgraduate student? Can someone tell me? Where will you be sitting in this car? Anyone? I'm monitoring the
Driving
chat.
seat.
Driving seat. There you go. There you go. That's a great answer. Who was that? I wish I was there in person. Maybe I could have given you a free copy. Can you believe it? Okay, driver's seat. Okay. So you are sitting on the driver's seat. Where do you think your supervisor is seated? Anyone? Where is the supervisor seated?
Next
Dimisan
to
or
me.
whoever.
Passenger.
Passenger seat.
Passenger.
Gudani says at the back. No, I mean, the back is a bit too far, but that's a good one. I hope you're joking there. So the point is, the supervisor is seated on the passenger seat. Why are they sitting on the passenger seat? Anyone to tell us? Why is the supervisor seated on the passenger seat? Why would they sit on the passenger seat?
Because
Yeah.
they are the driving instructor or
They are
guide.
the instructor. There you go. Give a hand. Who was that? Yes, that was beautiful. Okay, for guidance, yes, for guidance. Uh, but who is supposed to turn the steering? Who is supposed to turn the steering or to engage the gear? Who is supposed to do that? Who is supposed to put the clutch control and things like that? Who is supposed to do that? The student, exactly. So this is the driver, exactly. So this is one important thing that a lot of students don't realize. I mean, I've been approached myself as a statistician. Look, I've got a PhD in stats, etc. I've been approached by some students who want me to co-supervise their work, for example. And you know why they would be approaching me sometimes? It's because they feel that their work needs some statistician, and I must come and do that stats as a co-supervisor. Is that correct? Is that a correct mindset? Is that the right mindset to have a core supervisor with a statistics degree or statistical training to come in as your core supervisor because you need someone to do the stats? Is that the right mindset?
No.
Maybe not. Why is it not the right mindset? Why? That's not the correct mindset. Why are we saying that? Why is that not the correct mindset? Of course, this workshop is very practical. Right? It's a workshop. Look, it's not a lecture. I'm not lecturing here, right? I'm facilitating some conversation and discussion, etc. So the point is, that's not the correct mindset because you as the student, you're supposed to do the work. You are doing the degree. I mean, the supervisor is there to guide you, type of thing, So I actually put an appendix in the book as well, speaking about this, that a PhD is not a project management role where you bring different skills and then you manage the project. That's not what a PhD is all about. I mean, you must be a guru in whatever you're dealing with there. You should understand how everything is done. Yes, you can bring in a course supervisor to guide you in some particular aspect. If it has got to do with artificial intelligence, you can bring someone from computer science or from digital transformation, whatever, to guide you in that particular aspect. But they're just there to guide. They are not engaging the gear and things like that. Okay. So the supervisor guides you, but you must drive. Perfect. Okay, you must learn to work independently. So this is essentially what the first theme is all about. Any questions on the first theme before I show you what the second theme is all about? I mean, you will also see that there's other chapters here with regards to the first theme, also talking about productivity tools. I mean, there's a lot of students who have the best laptop, the best IQ, the best resources, all the tools. They can have the best tools, but sometimes what is lacking is discipline. Discipline is not there. And what happens? The project does not move because the most important thing is actually discipline compared to the amount of tools you have. I mean, show me a student with an old laptop, but with a disciplined mindset. I'll show you the student that can finish a degree at postgraduate level. But you find some students who take 4-5 months saying, I'm setting up my system, I'm downloading this software, I'm using a MacBook, this and the other. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but I mean, those students, they typically struggle as well, particularly because they think that the amount of work is in the input. It's not in the input, it's in the output. So you can have the West laptop, but if you are disciplined, you find ways around it to do your work, etc. Okay. Okay, so emotional resilience. This is very important. Emotional resilience, this is the crux, if I can put it that way, of what the book is really trying to address. I mean, the book is really focusing on emotional resilience and, of course, how to address these issues. These issues can break you. I mean, you can submit your document, your first document to your supervisor. You've worked on this document. You've slept on this document. You have cried on this document. You've done everything on this document. You have prayed over this document. You've done everything on this document. It's a first draft of your proposal, whatever, at master's or PhD level, and then the supervisor can read it maybe over a day or two and return it read right through and say there's nothing here. You haven't started. Is there someone who shares those type of experiences? Am I speaking to people here or computers? Am I speaking to researchers here? People who are doing research and you have experienced this type of thing where you have, put in all the effort and then the feedback is there's nothing here. I mean, there's nothing to read here type of thing. Or why are you wasting my time
I mean,
type of thing.
that's also good feedback, isn't it?
Yeah.
When somebody at the least looks through it and then has a conversation with you. I mean, some of us have been stuck in situations where you get like you send in a paper and you're just like, look, I want to do this via submission. You send in a couple of papers and you get a better response from the journal than you get from your supervisor because they're not interested. So I'm just saying that in certain instances, it's a beautiful thing to have a supervisor that's engaged. And even if you don't, it's still 100% your responsibility, and you still need to find other ways to get feedback. And sometimes the topic is so complex that there's just nobody in the room who kind of understands it better than you do.
Sure. Definitely. But again, what you're bringing there, Ronald, which is beautiful. The fact is, there's going to be emotional resilience required from you. Okay, there's going to be emotional resilience and self-compassion that you need to engage in. I mean, it could be the supervisor is harsh in their response, which is great because they're still giving you some response. But you find that sometimes the supervisor does not provide anything. I mean, they are so busy that they just go quiet. And rest assured, they are reading your email somewhere. They're getting what you are talking about, but they're just not responding, whatever. So, I mean, how do you deal with that? How? So, the emotional resilience that is required at postgraduate level is underestimated. I think there's a lot of focus on, workshops, and I'm not downgrading those workshops. So please get me right. I'm not downplaying the role of, writing, methodology workshops. They are beautiful. They're great. But the point is, there's no link to download the book. We'll talk about that. I mean, look, I'm using the book to present, but the book is really not available for download per se. But we'll talk about how to get the book later. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're saying there's going to be um, a rejection. It's part of the process. So rejection comes in one form or another. It comes in one form or another. It can come, at a conference level where you present your work and the whole audience tells you, or maybe not the whole audience, but some professor in the audience who is kind of the big shot there. They will tell you that, are you serious that you come and present such work, at a national conference? I mean, this is the type of things that we teach at undergraduate level. They can give you a response like that, and you've prepared all this stuff. You didn't even sleep the previous evening. This and the other. So, I mean, emotional resilience is very, very, very important, and this is what the theme is. That is my fear. But I mean, look, you can build up some muscles. That's the purpose of such a workshop, Latoya. You've got to build up some muscles to deal with this type of issues. Okay, so personal, issues again around feedback is the same thing we're dealing with. Feedback is not meant to be personal. In this case, you can imagine that the professor, like the example I gave, is not meaning to break you. The point is not to break you, but they're trying to improve your work, as it were. But the tone they're using is not the best tone. And we do talk about how do you um, separate the tone from the message. I'll show you some tools, particularly in chapter 6 there. I'll show you some tools on how to, I think this is the idea of the workshop actually, how to maybe leave the work and come back the next day and rephrase the feedback in your own way, and things like that. We'll come back to that. Okay. So don't be afraid, please. You're in the right place. Of course, perfectionism. I mean, a lot of people who get entrance into postgraduate studies are typically A students who are used to being the top student, this and this, you are used to making your stuff perfect and things like that. I mean, but that mindset does not work at postgraduate level. There's no perfect thesis. If you go to even Cambridge and you go to Oxford and all these top universities, Harvard, in any thesis that is sitting there, you can find something that needs to be improved, that should have been done better. Let alone our institutions here in Africa, etc. I mean, the point is, the examiners are not looking for a perfect thesis. They are looking for someone who has shown that they know how to find problems, not necessarily solutions, by the way, problems. Yeah, if you have proven that you can find good problems in your discipline, that's a good mindset for research, and those are good skills. Sometimes you can say, I found this big problem, but here's my small solution. You're putting a brick. Your thesis is not going to change the world overnight, and we're going to talk about that very soon. Okay, the imposter syndrome. Okay, today you feel like you are about to find a world class discovery in biochemistry. Tomorrow you feel like I don't think I'm supposed to be doing even a master's. I don't qualify to be a master's student, but yet you are a PhD student. So I mean, those things are going to happen. You're going to have that kind of roller coaster of emotions. You're going to experience all that type of stuff. You feel like a genius one day, and some days you feel like you are not supposed to be there. But I mean, I'm reminding you with this type of workshop that you got that space. I mean, if you think about the University of Johannesburg and other top institutions in Africa, like the University of Johannesburg, etc. I mean, the point is for you to get into a postgraduate degree like a PhD, you were handpicked. I mean, the amount of applications people get, even for a master's degree, you'll be surprised that you could be less than one. You could be within the 10th or whatever, the 5th or 5% of what was the original application, etc. You are handpicked. You belong there. I mean, and we're going to remind you on that as well. Okay. Of course, I think if I stop here with this theme, that would be great justice if I can get there. The research process itself and the mindset. I mean, there's a lot of students who take the undergraduate mindset to postgraduate degrees, where you go to the library and you read the whole day. You are not doing research. Okay, did you guys hear what I just said? Can I repeat that? If you are reading the whole day and there's no writing whatsoever you're doing, that's not research. Can someone tell me why that is not research? Can someone tell me why that is not research? If you're going to read the whole day, for example, I'm just giving an example. I'm waiting for an answer, okay, to make sure that people are still here. I wish I was there in person, actually, or we're meeting in person. I would have been in my class or my seminars or workshops. You can either be a volunteer or you can be a victim as well, right? Okay, I see, Teresa. Please say something. Why is reading the whole day not good research?
Well, for a start, reading is a good thing, but now when you're doing it now the whole day, it's not critical. You're just there doing the rod thing and
Yeah,
cramming. It's more like cramming, and you're not critical to your work.
yeah,
So I think
yeah.
now with PhD, you need to be very critical, and I think as you're writing things down, your mind opens up and other things come in and they flow out.
Yeah. All right. Great. That's the point. That's the point. Thanks so much for that. The point is you are reading to write. Okay. The end goal is writing. Are we together? No one is going to evaluate what you read. No one is going to evaluate what you read. People are going to evaluate what you wrote, what you did. And even what you did is not going to be evaluated in the sense of saying, I can show you proof that I was doing some programming in R or in Python on this particular day. I have the screenshots. No one is going to examine that. What are they going to examine? It's some written piece of work. Are we together? They're going to examine a thesis. They're going to examine a dissertation. If you're doing by publication, they're going to look at which publications did you do, blah, 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 etc. Are we together, everybody? So at the end of the day, we're saying reading is necessary, but endless reading is avoidance, and it gets into procrastination. Is everyone following what I'm talking about? So I'll just increase this picture a bit. There's this picture that I'm showing you here. So at the end of the day, we're saying there is a point where reading is actually very productive, and it kind of gets into preparation. For what? For writing. And writing should happen. If writing does not happen, then reading is wasting. I mean, you're putting time to waste. You're putting time to waste. So then, of course, students will ask me when I present this particular, it's a good thing actually for me to start showing this picture, for example, because what we're talking about here is really something that links to your writing, which is very important. Okay. So at the end of the day, we're saying some students can say, okay, how can I write something if it's not relevant? Okay, so now the point is, why would you spend the whole day reading if it's not relevant? Okay, why would you spend the whole day reading what is not relevant? Again, we're basically saying you should have a reflective mindset. You should have a mindset that reflects on what type of reading you're doing. And you can only reflect if you are doing some form of writing. Are we happy with that, everybody? You've got to put it down. What is it that you've read? Okay, how does it connect to your research question? Okay, this paper that I've read, some people, the way they do it in an Excel document, then they put, what was the title of that paper? What was the themes? What was the keywords? What was the research objective? How does it relate to my objective and things like that? So you can kind of have a matrix, if you like, and that's beautiful. And that matrix, you can convert that into some literature review of some sorts. The point is, If you are going to spend the whole day just going through a textbook in the library, I did that as a PhD student. I was used to reading textbooks as an undergraduate student. I loved reading textbooks. I would even read textbooks of some of the modules before the semester begins. I get the textbook and I read it during the holiday or something. When we begin, I've already read everything, type of thing. I used to do that as an undergraduate student. It's beautiful to read a textbook, but that type of mindset is not what is expected in postgraduate studies. Okay, I hope we are still together. Okay, so please avoid that part. Okay. Any questions here? I think things are getting personal. I can imagine that there's someone who's sitting on the edge somewhere there, right? Things are getting a bit personal now because maybe someone was doing this type of reading for the last 2 weeks. Okay. Okay, because reading all day, analyzing, comparing, etc. Okay, interpreting, analysis, and understanding is found in written product. Yes, yes, it's good research because it's not good research because you're looking for product ideas. Great, great, great stuff. Okay, can we move? Okay, so this is just within the second theme. I'm going to come back and show you more stuff around that second theme in particular. So let's go there quickly. I think we are not doing too bad. I don't think we're not doing too bad. Let's move a bit. So we are in the third theme actually. Read about the research process itself and the mindset that you require as a researcher. So of course, this is something that a lot of students don't get too well with. Some students think that research is like, in an undergraduate study. I'm sorry for laughing, but I mean, I experienced this as a master student. You start going to the east, and then your research ends up going to the west or to the south, type of thing. I mean, this is what research is all about. In fact, I'm so humbled that I had a supervisor who was well versed with these type of things, particularly with regards to evolution of research. My supervisor used to tell me that if you know where you're going, then it's not research. Do you guys agree with me? There is no, I mean, there's no beaten path in your research journey. You don't know where you're going. If you know where you're going, that's not research, actually. You are trying to validate something. I mean, at governmental level and in politics, they do that type of stuff, right? Where they are told that we want you to prove this point. Of course, this is a joke, right? If there's people from government, I didn't say that. But the point is, we're saying with research, the end goal or the outcome is unknown. It's uncertain. You don't know where you're going. And this is what makes research beautiful. That uncertainty is what makes research beautiful. Okay, yes, you can have an hypothesis, an educated guess of what the outcome could look like, but you don't exactly know what the research outcome is going to be. And your research then has got to evolve. You can start with qualitative questions, and then you realize that you need to triangulate these questions, bring some quantitative data to quantify some of the insights you're getting from the qualitative interviews. Am I speaking to people here that relate to what I'm talking about? Okay, so that mindset is very, very, very important. And of course, we do touch on things like, I mean, uh, no, saying I don't know. I mean, it's not something that you should be scared of. If you're presenting your study to some panel, someone talked about it earlier, to some panel. There's nothing wrong with saying I don't know the answer to the question you're asking, but I'm very much open to investigating it further and with the guidance of my supervisor. Are we together, everybody? These are tools I'm just throwing in there. So, I mean, we come with that mindset from undergraduate studies. You come with that mindset where you feel like if you don't know an answer, you're going to fail. If you don't know the answer, you're going to fail. I mean, that's not what is expected in research. I mean, like they would say, a lawyer does not need to know the law, but they need to know where to find the law. Okay, so I mean, if you are presenting at a conference and some professor is trying to diminish your work and whatever, and then they say, do you know this theory? I mean, it's a valid answer to say, I don't know. I don't know that theory, but that sounds like something related to what I'm working on. As soon as I get back to my university, I will be checking that theory and see how my supervisor and I can integrate that theory into our work. Are we together? Okay. I don't know is a valid answer. Okay. Okay, of course, issues to do with data. A lot of students struggle with this. Again, they're looking for perfect data. They think that data should be perfect. There's never perfect data. I mean, there's going to be missing values. I mean, look at my statistician. We kind of also have these things, in some of our work, etc. I mean, look, whether it's interviews and whatever, qualitative, quantitative data is never perfect. And when you come from an undergraduate study, what typically happens is maybe when you're given an assignment, you're given that assignment with curated data that was already cleaned, it's already sitting in a textbook somewhere, or you're told download this file and do ABC in Microsoft Excel, or this and this and the other in Stata and Statistica, whatever these programs, depending on what type of study you were doing. But the point is, you're dealing with curated data and data that is kind of perfect at undergraduate level. Once you get into postgraduate level, you've got to collect your own data sometimes. And when you're collecting this data, you find these respondents just mean they don't fill these records and they fill the other ones. How do you handle all that? Okay. So that mindset needs to be shifted there. And of course, I don't know how I can emphasize this point. Writing rather takes longer than you think. Is there someone who agrees with me that writing takes longer than you think? A lot of people come with that mindset of undergraduate study of, I'll do my writing the day before. Colleagues, I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's not funny, but it's actually something that is not funny. As an examiner, I've examined PhD and masters dissertations, etc. If the work was written the evening before the due date, as an examiner, you can see it. I don't know if you guys got what I just said. Did you get what I said there? Yeah. This is some news that probably, as a student, you should be aware of. The market is more intelligent than you think. What do I mean by the market? I mean, these people that are examining your work, they've already done a master's and a PhD. They know exactly what you're dealing with. Okay. So if you're going to write things overnight and then just, hash it into some AI and things like that, and then submit it the next morning type of thing, any examiner can pick that up. Okay. And I mean, as a matter of fact, your supervisor should not even allow you to do that type of stuff. Just doing everything overnight, because it's going to also tarnish their reputation, etc. So myself as an examiner, for example, if I pick that type of behavior, that this work, I'm the first one to read this work. This work was not read by the spouse. I'm not joking. But if you are married or you've got a partner, whatever, those people should read your work before the external examiner reads that work. Okay, this is not a joke. You cannot afford to rush your writing. That's basically what I'm saying. Your writing should be done in good time. Okay. Get it to an editor. Get it to whoever's. The real magic in writing is in the revision. It's in the revising the work. That's where the magic happens. Your first draft will be bad, but your second draft, your third draft, some supervisors even go to fifth draft, or some finicky supervisors will want you to do drafts up to the 10th one, for example. Someone's mic is unmuted. It would be great if they can mute it. Okay, so that's what we're talking about then in chapter 20. Your first draft will be bad, and that's okay. It's a draft. It's meant to be a draft. Don't be hard on yourself. But then again, you cannot afford to have many drafts if you are going to write everything late. Again, you can see the argument. Okay. Someone has got to leave. Great. Thank you. From Summerstrand, from my alma mater. It was great having you, Simone. Summerstrand campus. That's beautiful. Sounds like from Nelson Mandela. All right. Sorry, colleagues. We're just doing a PE thing here now, right? Okay. Okay, improvements never end. Okay, we'll talk about that as well. But I think for now, these are the type of things that I personally think that you have got to navigate. You've got to navigate very well, extremely well. If you are going to, so it looks like there's some people from Nelson Mandela there. Okay, we must connect more. Okay, let me, on that note, then maybe focus at some of the tools that we have, in particular with regards to the things that I've been mentioning so far, because I don't want to just highlight problems and problem after problem, but at least I must provide some solutions. So let me just navigate to some reflective exercises. I call them. We call them reflective exercises. In fact, I'm tempted to actually take out some of those tools and just make them publicly available for anyone who is in need of those tools. Maybe put on my research kit or something. Look, I don't think I'm going to lose anything by doing that. So let's get into it quickly. My screen is a bit blurry, but okay. So talking about independence, learning how to work independently, etc. Let's start there. So I'll show you some tools here. Okay, first we have some reflective questions. I want you to reflect on this question. It's a workshop, right? And let's do what a workshop is meant to do. So I want you to reflect on maybe one or two, at least one of the questions that I put there in terms of self-direction. Let's start right there. So this is the first thing. Okay, so I'll give some. I'll show you some of these questions for the three themes that we kind of focused on now. So if I can summarize the three themes we've talked about, it has got to do with ownership and independence, and it has got to do with emotional resilience and self-direction, and then it has got to do with research, the research process and the mindset. So those are the three themes that we're focusing on today. I mean, if I manage to get another workshop at some stage with you guys, maybe I can do the other themes at some stage. I'm not advertising for me to come back this year, right? We can do it next year, RCD. But the point is, I think whilst I'm talking, people are already picking up a question or two here, right? So just pick up a question or two and do reflect on that question. Do reflect on that question. There's quite a number of them. I don't know if it will be visible if I make it a bit smaller like that. Is that okay? Can you still see properly? I'm using a big screen here, so it might be okay on my end, but not your end. But great, I think people can still see. So can you please just reflect on any of those questions? And what I would like to do, because it's a workshop, I mean, you can't learn from me only. I can also learn from you, and others can also learn from you. So I'll ask a volunteer or two to take a question here to tell us what they reflect on that particular question that they're reflecting on. Would that be okay? If I ask anyone here to just unmute yourself and do a bit of a reflection. Doesn't have to be long, but something that you can just reflect on. Any question that you can reflect on is not compulsory, colleagues. I just want one or two volunteers. Okay, we're waiting. Anyone? Should I pick a victim now? I don't want people to be running away from my workshops because, but Millicent, are you there? Are you there, Millicent? Millicent Moyo. Are you there? I hope you're still there, colleagues. Did you get what I'm expecting? Is for you to pick one question and you just give some form of reflection. These are reflective questions. Yes, Millicent, I see you are alive.
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Yes. Any contribution? Any question you found interesting here? I don't want to put you in the spot, but I see there's a raised hand. Maybe that person is there to rescue you, right?
Thank you, Prof. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah. Prof, I'm going to go on with the second options that says, do I actively seek answers when I'm stuck, or do I wait for others to guide me? For me, I'm Olalekan Okewale. I'm a PhD student in electrical electronics. Most often time, I don't actually wait for somebody to actually guide me when I'm stuck. But the only thing I do is that I will have looked for different options like seek internet, seek for help, like people around me. It's only if I couldn't get the direct answers, then I will need to get across to my supervisor, because my supervisor is somebody that is very busy. But I always make sure that every morning and night, I will always disturb him with phone, with emails, so that I'll be able to get his attention. Because I remember when I was about concluding my proposal, at a point, I wanted to ask her something about the design I'm supposed to carry out. And I was thinking that should I add a particular module to that design, or I should not add it to it? And I asked people around me and people that have gone ahead and all that. They gave me different suggestions, but I look at it that I need to get my supervisor's suggestions. That is the ultimate suggestion in this particular work that I'm actually doing. So for first day, second day, I keep disturbing him, WhatsApp chats, email, every morning, every afternoon, every evening. After third day, he told me that, oh, create a meet so that we can have a meeting and we'll be able to look at it. And that day, we look at it and that thing was actually solved. So most often time, you should not wait until somebody push you or maybe somebody guide you. First, explore every necessary options around you. And if you are not satisfied or maybe something is not clear, and that is the reason why you have a supervisor. And when some supervisors are very naive, maybe they are very busy, you need to look for a way of reaching out to them. Either you try to study them to know their time scheduling, so that you're able to know the right time to reach out to them. Thank you very much, Prof.
Great, Olalekan. Thanks so much. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful contribution. So essentially, I mean, these tools, then, I'm basically saying here, this is more for you to look inside, right? Like you just did now, Olalekan. I mean, you're just looking inside to say, okay, how do I relate with this part of what is expected of me? In this case, we're saying that it's expected of a PhD student, particularly as a PhD student. Yes, even at a master's level, it's expected for you to not get stuck you can't be stuck for 6 months and then someone asks you what's been happening and say, no, I was stuck there. I mean, so how do they even know where you were stuck? How do they unstuck you? Or whatever, if there's a word like that. The point is, one has got to reflect. I don't know if there was someone else who wanted to reflect on particular independence, but that was a great contribution, Olaka. I mean, I love the word you use, that you disturb the supervisor. That's beautiful. I mean, that's great. Okay. Should we go to the next theme? Maybe I can go to the next theme and maybe have some bit of reflection there as well, because I think this was very brilliant reflection we had here. So let's go to maybe on the issue of feedback. Sure. Things are going to be a bit personal there. But let's get into it. I mean, look, we're already here, right? Can I ask you to do a bit of reflection on this feedback and self-worth? Colleagues, the faster we do this, the better. I think we have slightly more than 30 minutes, but I would like to cover a bit of more stuff, right? it would be great if we can do a bit more work. So if we can reflect fast, that would be great. I'm not pushing you to reflect without thinking. You've got to think first, and then we'll do some reflection, of course. Whoever is ready, you can just unmute yourself and come. You don't have to raise your hand. This is a personal section, huh? Okay, who is coming? Is there anyone coming?
Once again, Prof, can I also contribute to something?
Yeah, sure.
Because most of these feedback and self-worth reflections, there are some things that actually affected me. There are some parts that actually affected me, and there are some parts that I have to take it very hard upon myself in order to correct some certain things. Like the fifth one from the top, how do I usually respond to harsh or poorly worded feedback? Defensively, dismissively, or reflectively? I'll be sincere with you, Prof. I work with one prof within my domain, and after sending the document to him, and the comments, I was actually wounded. When I saw the comments, I was not happy at all. I just look at it that, all these sleepless nights, everything that I've done, even to the point that I look at it that maybe I should just abandon the whole thing and just let it go. But somebody has to also encourage me and said, no, I should not look at it that way. But the essence is just to make me better, and at the same time to also be an authority in that domain. That all those feedback, I should try and reflect on it and do the necessary things. I should not take it. I should not take it as a yes, sir, Prof.
So basically, sorry for cutting you there, but basically you're saying you're coming to this point, right, where you reflect on the feedback.
Yes.
I mean, let's agree on this. There will be feedback that is poorly worded. Yes, I mean, from a senior member of the department, whatever, but the point is, it can be as poorly worded as it can almost make you feel like you don't belong in that degree. They can tell you that type of thing. I received that, for example. I do give some reflection, by the way, in this book here. I do give some reflection on my personal journey, how that, particularly for myself in this case, I suffered a lot from this. When I was a master's student, I submitted an article based on my master's research into one of the local journals, and the feedback that we got there was so dismissive, like almost swearing. I don't know if I'm fully healed from that to date, but the point is, it happens in academia. You resubmit it elsewhere and you might get some more positive feedback that you can work on, etc. But at the end of the day, what I do as well, I provide some tools. I mean, look at this. This is some tools. These are the tools I was saying that I feel like maybe I can extract these tools. I do this for every chapter. There's some tools that we give for every chapter for all the 30 things. There's some tools that you can actually use to reframe harsh feedback and maybe have some pause, prompts. Like how do you process the feedback in stages? Maybe save the file and close it. Take a walk and do something relaxing. Reread it tomorrow with fresh eyes. Highlight what was useful. Skip the tone. Well, this is easier said than done. but you've got to skip the tone, because the tone is not the most important thing. The most important thing is the message. Whoever has written the feedback, what they're trying to say to you is what is most important, but the tone is going to be part of it. So you've got to separate the tone from the message, and that's not easy. But as a researcher, you've got to master this skill, that what is the message here? Okay, put the tone away. Okay, the tone, look at the tone as some bone, right? The meat is the message. Put the bone away, type of thing. Okay, make a small plan. What can I revise? What can I first revise? Things like that. Feedback interpretation. So these tools actually are very important. I wish I'll, I'll sit with it a little longer and see, but I feel like these tools I must make freely available to anyone who wants to use these tools, even people who don't have the book, type of thing. So I mean, you can track the feedback. You can have an emotion action feedback map. You can have self-worth anchor sheet, things like that. So let's jump into maybe because I want to also allow a discussion at the end. I have been called stupid before by a journal reviewer. Definitely. So that can definitely happen to everyone. I think it has happened to all of us. Let's go into the last section here, maybe on the imposter syndrome. This is real. This is more real than we think. This is not just for students. This is also for academics, and I mean even the vice chancellors, people who are in those big positions. You'll be surprised how unsecure they are about their positions. That they'll be waking up today. They think that they are solving the world's most difficult problems tomorrow. They think that they got this job by luck or something. So the imposter syndrome is real. But my screen looks a bit blurry on my end. Is it blurry on your end? Okay, I think it's better. Okay, let's get into some reflection around the imposter syndrome. I'll show you something now. Okay. Let's do a bit of reflection on the imposter syndrome. I'm expecting people to reflect honestly. I'm really expecting people to reflect on this. This is very important. It's critical, actually. It's critical. The imposter syndrome is critical. We face it every day. All right. Any volunteer colleagues, please do me a favor. I mean, this is what makes my day when I hear from you. Not when I tell you something. What makes my day is when I hear from you. Sharon, are you there? Sharon McConnell. Can I get some victims here? Sharon, you want to say something on the imposter syndrome? Reflections, please. I mean, if you are multitasking colleagues, I completely understand. I mean, that is the number. I mean, it's normal nowadays to be in two meetings, right? But I mean, if you are here, please just do me that favor. Just unmute your mic and maybe reflect. It's a workshop, right? The imposter syndrome. How do you relate to these questions? I'm at last yes to go. That's okay. I completely understand. Anyone else? Are you saying our colleague must come again? Millicent, you are ready to say something now, right? Yeah, please. Millicent.
Yes, sorry for the background noise. I'm walking to school.
Yeah. It's a bit,
Hello?
your line is not very clear. I don't know. Are you using some earset to talk? Is that so?
Yes.
I think it would be great if you could do without it. Maybe it would be better. I don't know. Do you want to say something for Lucky as Millicent
Hello,
just yes, now it's better. Yeah,
can you hear me now?
now it's perfect.
Yes. The first question: do I believe in my ability to finish this degree? Well, yes, I do. Because when I reflect back to the time when I was in undergrad, I had a lot of challenges and I had to have a new supervisor 3 months before the deadline for my thesis submission. And that was challenging because the new supervisor came with new objectives and a new perspective on how to approach my project. But I still finished. So yeah, I'm still starting my master's project. It's a master's in research. And so far, it's been challenging to find a problem that I want to work on.
Sure.
But I'm still positive. Yeah,
Great,
there are some
great
days
stuff.
when I feel
That's
frustrated, but yeah, I'm still
but you have
looking
you
forward.
have that faith. You believe that you can finish that degree. That's what we're that's the reflection that we're
Yes, I
saying.
do.
Great, great stuff. I mean, and that's where it begins. That's where it begins. I mean, you can if you think that you cannot do it, honestly, I mean, that degree is going to be very hard for you. If you think that you cannot do it, but if you still think that you can do it, I mean, that's the beginning. That's the beginning of it. I mean, the point now is to convince others that this is your thing. Like I was joking the other time on LinkedIn. By the way, I'm very active on LinkedIn. Try and follow me. I would like to follow you too, and we must keep in touch. In this book, I also talk about networking is one of the most important things in research. Networking is as important as your research. So I posted the other day on LinkedIn. I think I was talking about the fact that you know what a PhD is really all about. A PhD is all about convincing some elders in your discipline. I think I called it that way. Did I say elders? I don't remember exactly, but that's what a PhD is all about. It's really about convincing people who came before you that that you can stay on with one problem for 3 years, and you can understand what that problem is all about, and maybe provide some bit of solution to that problem, and that solution does not have to be relevant for society. I think that was just a tongue in cheek. I was not really saying it, meaning it that way, but the point is, it's really about convincing others, convince the examiners, convince the reviewers. So there's some kind of pyramid structure there, right? Gatekeeper saying, I mean, we're not going to give PhDs to everyone, but you've got to convince them, type of thing, and convince yourself before you can try to convince others. How does that sound? I mean, convince yourself that this is your thing. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Millicent. That's beautiful. Okay, let's hear from Folake Joseph.
My mic.
I think you're live. We can
Hello.
hear you. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. The question on do I believe? Yeah, I believe in myself first, just as you have said, that I have what it takes. I can reason, I can at least I can contact some textbook or go on net and make a research on my own. And anywhere I need contribution or I need advice, I can contact my superior or anybody that can help me.
Okay. So which one were you reflecting on again, Folake?
Which
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 one
which one are you reflecting on, the imposter? Yeah.
okay.
Which question were you reflecting on, particularly here on the imposter syndrome? I would like to just see the question.
What would you look like to trust my effort as much as others? Yeah, I should be able to trust my effort as
Yeah.
much as others.
Opinions. Yeah,
Opinion. Yes.
sure. Great.
I know I can do all things. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, colleagues, I mean, look, I was hoping that we're going to have a popcorn contribution, right? People wanting, particularly on the imposter syndrome. This is very beautiful. This is, if you can, if you can master the emotional issues around the imposter syndrome, you can go very far in not just in academia, I mean, even in industry, there's people who have gone through the difficult exams to become an actuary or a chartered accountant, but when they get the job, they still feel that I'm not the right person. Everyone feels that way. The point is, you've got then to reflect and then, normalize that feeling that, this is not just you. It's a feeling that everyone, it actually means that you care. If you can feel that, I don't know if there's someone taking notes, but what I'm saying now here is actually very important. You feel that way. You feel that way. You feel like an imposter because you actually care. Okay? It's because you care that you feel that way. If you didn't care, you were not going to feel that way. You just do like a Jessica and all that. So the reason why you feel like maybe this job should have been given to someone better than me, or this PhD is for people who are more intelligent than me, is because you actually care. So reflect on it that way. That because you care, you are the right person. You are the person who is supposed to be there. You know. Chagwesha M. You wanna come
Yes,
in?
hi.
Hi.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Thank you.
I don't know, am I interrupting or I can just go on?
Oh, please come. We are waiting for the contribution.
Oh, okay.
Waiting for the contribution. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes. So I just want to reflect on what the second statement, what moments have reminded me that I belong here.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I just want to go. So I'm currently doing a PhD, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it hasn't been easy, hasn't been a walk in the park, but I enjoy every challenge that comes with
Mhm.
it. So yes, the imposter syndrome is very, very real. It's very
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
during the course of the year, I was just going through a lot. It was just overwhelming.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd send my draft chapter, say, to my supervisor. She'd give me feedback. Some of the feedback is not so great, some is. So I start questioning myself, like, do I really need to do this? Can I do this? Do I belong here? So I remember one of the days she called me, and then she was like, you know what, Memory, I need you to help my other student to I was doing my what you call this, my questionnaire. So it was on Microsoft Forms. So I'd done it before. So she said, can you help the other guy because he's struggling, to do this? And then while you're at it, can you just look at his objectives? Because I feel like, maybe if you as a peer, talk to him and help him understand, maybe he'll be able, you know. So we went through the process of the Microsoft forms. I assisted him in the process. He was like, you know what, Memory, this actually is for you. You need to be in this field. Once we did all of that and finished and then did the
Yeah.
objectives,
Yeah.
the compliments and everything
Yeah.
that came with that really
Yeah.
affirmed that, you know what, maybe this is actually for me, maybe I actually belong here.
You
And then that
belong
was the
there. Yeah.
push that I
Yeah.
needed, and yeah,
Yeah.
the rest
Yeah.
is history. Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I like what you're saying because the point is we downgrade those small signals. Those small signals. We know we downgrade them to the extent that you find sometimes as a PhD student, maybe like the experience you had, or you just a colleague. You explain to them, you explain how methodology works and this and this and this, and they see the light bulb, right? And that is proof again that you belong where you are. You did not make it by chance. And yeah, thanks so much. Was that Memory?
Yes, Memory.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
I like. So one has got to celebrate those moments, even if you're not celebrating them too much online, whatever. But the point is, take note of it. This is the things that you're going to come back to. In fact, whilst we are there, allow me to just show you something. There's something that I want to just make everyone see. Celebrate small wins. Look at this. Whilst we're there, I mean, this is something that is extremely important in research. The journey is so tough that if you don't do this, you might not be able to sustain yourself or to persevere. You need to recognize when you have achieved something, even if it's small wins. Let me show you something. Look at this. Look at this. I don't know if you still want to come back there, memory, but this relates to what you were saying now. The point is, if there's something that you have done, and you've done beautifully, you've got to acknowledge that. I mean, this maybe is proof that I belong where I am, type of thing. Are we together, everybody? Yeah. Anyone else who wants to jump in? I'm excited about the feedback I'm getting. You don't have to raise your hand, colleagues. Just jump in, please. Is there anyone with a raised hand there, perhaps? Celebrate small wins. Yes. Yes. We can hear you, but you're a bit faint. I don't know if it's your volume. Berezi. Um, can you hear Berezi very well? Is it my side? Can anyone hear them well? In fact, I could hear myself. Kenneth, I think that's your first name, right? Can anyone hear Kenneth?
No, we cannot hear Kenneth.
Yeah.
I think it was just an echo. The mic
It was
was
just an echo, right?
unmuted. Yes.
Is there anyone else perhaps who wants to jump in quickly? Anyone wants to jump in quickly? Just some reflection. We're doing reflections on the imposter syndrome, right? We're doing reflections on the imposter syndrome. If you want me to go back there for you to see one more time your question, but I was hoping that you would be writing your question and then you kind of reflect on it. But I mean, if there's no much reflection there, maybe we can just touch a bit on. This is a nasty topic, but it's a part of my appendix here. It's part of my appendices here. Supervisor student power dynamics. Okay. What should we say here? Where do we start? Can I just maybe mention the fact that you as a student, you have got a golden opportunity to influence your relationship with the supervisor. Do you guys agree with me? Let's start there. Do you guys agree with me that you as a student, you have got a golden opportunity to influence your relationship with your supervisor? Can I start there? I see thumbs up. How can you influence your relationship with the supervisor? I know this is not necessarily this is not what I'm focusing on. You might have done other workshops on this, but I mean, it's part of the mindset issues that really needs to come in. The fact is, if you think about it, your relationship with your supervisor, rather, let me put it this way, your supervisor is maybe 10 or 20 other students like you, but you know, your project is one of those 10 or 20, right? If your project is one of those 10 or 20, your relationship with your supervisor is then more dependent on you than on the supervisor. I don't know if you're getting the math I'm trying to bring there. The math I'm trying to bring there is if you are going to say to the supervisor, or if you are going to have an expectation that the supervisor should influence the relationship, if the relationship is not okay, then my supervisor should work on it. Are you suggesting that your supervisor should work on 20 relationships? You get the point I'm trying to bring, right? All I'm trying to say here is I think it would be too much of an expectation or too much of an ask for you to expect a professor to mend the relationship if the relationship is not okay. I'm basically saying, as a student, you've got that golden opportunity to actually work on the relationship. Maybe if you realize that your supervisor loves, their title a lot, they love their title, their professor, I mean, when you address them, try to give them what they want, in a sense. I mean, that doesn't mean you're weak here. That actually means you're very wise. As a student, I mean, not just as a student, even myself as an academic, when I'm dealing with some academics that I know that this academic really loves the title, I can even send them an email when I need something from them. I can even send them an email and say, greetings, esteemed professor. I mean, this is not a joke. I do that. But the point is, I'm trying to this is enlightened in all your motivational circles. They call it enlightened self-interest, right? You've got self-interest, but your self-interest is enlightened. So some people were asking me, how did I get two vice chancellor, not vice chancellors? I mean, on the book, actually, I've got two deputy vice chancellors that wrote forwards for me, for example. Some people were asking, how did you get that right? I mean, look, these are the type of tools I'm talking about, where you can tap into someone's credentials and profit. In this case, we're talking about deputy vice chancellors. I got a forward from our deputy vice chancellor from Wits University, and the deputy vice chancellor at Stellenbosch University as well. I mean, these are not small institutions, right? So to get forwards from those for such a small project like a book written by someone who is not even a well-recognized researcher like myself, I mean, look, it takes some emotional skills to do that. I can promise you. I mean, I won't mention who, but one of the DVC actually wrote me her forward while she was flying. That's how busy these people are. I didn't realize. She ended up writing it when she was flying from I don't know from where to where, and she wrote it on the plane. Yeah. Sure. I mean, it takes a lot of emotional intelligence, I think, to navigate those type of spaces. Same thing with your supervisors. If your supervisor is an A-rated researcher, he's probably as busy as the colleagues I was talking about, the DVCs, etc. I mean, you've got to navigate your relationship in a very good way. You can't send them an email and say, I've sent you 5 emails. Why are you not responding? Yeah, I'm not defending any supervisor for not responding to emails, but my point is maybe you can rephrase the tone, you can rephrase the way you address them, you can rephrase the expectation, instead of you just saying, I don't know what to do. I mean, maybe do some bit of work and maybe send them some slide with some results and say, this is what I've been doing. I mean, I want us to have a meeting at your convenience, this and this. Are we together, colleagues? You can mend that relationship. You can actually work on that as a student. That's my point. I think there was a hand that was up. Maybe you can say something. Sorry, I was caught up in talking. There was a hand that was up, but in the meantime, I mean, look, I'm a networker. I do a lot of networking. I've just put a post about this session actually on LinkedIn. I put the link in the chat there. It would be great if you drop a beautiful comment there, and maybe your comment is what I need for my promotion. Of course, I'm joking. But yeah, I mean, networking is as important as research. Okay. Colleagues, there was a hand that was up earlier. Who was that? Maybe that hand expired, or maybe they had to leave. I'm sorry for that. But I'm happy to take a comment or two on student-supervisor relationships. There is something that I actually had in mind as well that I wanted to touch on, but I think our time is flying. Should I also touch on, I think this relates to what we just talked about now, the fact that you've got to understand this, you've got to understand your supervisor's style and strengths. The supervisors, I mean, this is mindset shifts all the time. The point is, we're saying you've got to shift your mindset. I mean, you cannot just have a mindset of saying, I had my brother who studied at UJ saying that the supervisor was doing this for them. So then you go to your supervisor and say, why are you not doing this for me? I mean, there's going to be a different supervisor styles and strengths. Some supervisors are great networkers, they're good mentors. Some supervisors are not good mentors, you know, so I mean, look, you've got to understand the role of, I mean, all this I got from feedback, by the way. I got feedback from some reviewers who were talking about all this. One of the reviewers, actually, that's why this is the last appendix. One of the reviewers was saying that I seem to have ignored the fact that there's different supervision styles. So I had to include this in the as an appendix. There's other appendices, things to do with academic politics. I don't want to touch on this. This is just another topic, academic politics. And, I was saying there that you must stay out of departmental politics, and things like that. But maybe if you give me an opportunity to just maybe do a bit of selling there. Oh, look, I'm doing this for free, right? I think UJ won't mind. I mean, so look, this is my endorsements of the book. I mean, that's the head of school from Viz. This book fills a critical gap by preparing the reader's mindset, not just their methodology, but for postgraduate study. Then another review there or endorsement. The message is clear and sobering realities. It presents are hard to ignore. Okay, a compassionate companion that speaks honestly to the emotional realities of postgraduate studies or postgraduate life. Timely contribution. I think there's something I might want to highlight later here. Clear and accessible guide for sure. I'm really humbled to by all this. So people are asking me, how do we get the book? I mean, look, the book, you can get it if you go to, there's a place called, let me just say, if you just type on LinkedIn, so not on LinkedIn, on Google, you should be able to pick a link that can direct you where you can get the book. But you can also get the book from me directly. Let me show you a link, maybe survival guide for every postgraduate journey. There is a good link, actually. This is an online distributor. I'll put it in the chat there with the permission of RCD. I'll put it in the chat there for you guys to be able to access this this link to the book. But when I come for the launch, which is on the 27th, 27th of November, I'll be having hard copies with me. They will be cheaper, I think, if you want to wait. But you can get the book from that link there. It comes with delivery anywhere in South Africa for only 280. The book can be delivered anywhere in the country. I think it's a cheap book, honestly, for 280 to get a postgraduate companion. Please let me know if that link is working. Anyone to tell me if that link is working? Yeah, you can get it from there. A lot of people have gotten it from there. But I mean, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you might be able to connect with me and get it from me personally. I can sign it for you for only 250. I mean, it will be cheap. It will be cheaper from me directly. But colleagues, it was really awesome being here with you. I don't know if there is anything else that we must touch on before we call it a day. I think we have tried what we could do in 2 hours, right? Should I hand over to my colleague from RCD to just take over? I think that would be appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mlambo. I don't think you realize how much we needed this session. All postgraduate students will agree with me to say that we actually needed to have this session, and it was very insightful. And at this point, we all wish we could get hold of the book. I think it's gonna be helpful and motivate us in this journey that can be a bit tough. Yeah, we wish we could have that we could all get the book. So thank you so much for your time. The
Thank you.
time that you took to present this session today. It was very refreshing. It brought us back to reality to say, okay, these are the challenges that we're facing. How can we overcome them? So it's giving us practical ways to navigate this journey, and that is what we actually grateful for. So we have 3 minutes, 2 minutes left, just to give the last round of questions to those who have like pressing questions, and then they can just come up and ask the questions, and then we can close the session in maybe the next 5 minutes or so.
Sure. Sure. Thank you.
Anyone who has
Thank
a
you very
question or a comment?
much. My name is
Okay.
Beata. Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you,
Yes,
Beata.
yes.
Yes. I just want to thank Prof for this very enlightening subject matter, because for some of us who wants to start PhD, at least we have been made aware of what the requirements are and how we can forge ahead. Yeah, it's not an easy task, but it is the way to go. And we would like to take this opportunity that we have managed to find time to have this workshop, which is not an easy road, but thank you for sharing. We then have to ask more if we need any assistance pertaining to the PhD that I would like to embark on. Otherwise, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Gladman, I see the hand is up. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's unfortunate that maybe Doc addressed the issue of AI issue. How do you deal with a supervisor who's always saying that you used AI? I didn't hear the answer to that. Thank you.
Sure. I think it depends on the context, right? I mean, if the supervisor thinks that you use AI, the question is, maybe you might want to let the supervisor or ask the supervisor to expound a little more. What is it that they are not happy with that made them think that you used AI? If you didn't use AI for whatever they're saying you've used AI. But I mean, I think universities are getting to that space now where they actually say students must also declare to say, I mean, I've used these tools to do A, B, C, etc., etc. Which I think if we have done that and the supervisor still feels that you didn't disclose everything, then maybe that's a different conversation, right, Gledman? But yeah, I think it comes back to the relationship again I was talking about earlier. So, I mean, in this case, are we saying there's no trust between the supervisor and the student? Could it be that that's the point? So how best can we work on this trust between the student and the supervisor? That's a question that we might want to ask, right? Unfortunately, when you ask someone like me questions, Gladman, I'm very sorry that I'm not probably going to give answers, but I'm probably going to give more questions, right? And maybe those questions are going to lead you to think about the answer. I don't know how that sounds.
Oh, okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. I think
Yeah.
it's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, but I do actually have a section. I do have an appendix in the book that speaks to AI. And I take an angle that I think is kind of a good angle. I don't want to comment on my own work to be saying my work is good, but I mean the angle that I take there is AI cannot do what you cannot do. So I think you as a researcher, you've got to be confident in what you're doing, and maybe if you ever use AI, you should be using it maybe to scaling the project, whatever, make things a bit easy in terms of maybe finding sources, this and this and this. But at the end of the day, need for disclosure and things like that. And you still have to take ownership of whatever is happening. I mean, you should be able to defend the work. So if your supervisor, for example, should feel that, I mean, here's a piece of board. I mean, here's a whiteboard. Can you tell me what you did, Clegman? I mean, you should be able to do that, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much. I'll just give the last person, and then we are going to close the session.
Yeah.
Anyone else? The last person to speak, to give a comment or a question? Okay, so in that case, in absence of questions and comments, I think we are all just grateful to have been a part of this workshop. I see some hands and some loves coming through. So this indicates that, you know, we all enjoyed the session. So thank you so much. Just to remind everyone that you supposed to go back to the RCDMS just to rate the session, complete the feedback survey that for this particular session, and then you'll be able to get the certificate of attendance. And for the external people, we will be able to identify them from the attendance list, and then we can send them the feedback survey separately through email. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending this workshop. Thank you for the engagement. I mean, these workshops will not be engaging if it's not for your attendance and, you know, for your comments and questions that you bring up in the workshop. So thank you so much. And Dr. Mlambo, thank you very much. As postgraduate students, you know, and even emerging academics that are here, we needed this workshop, and we have benefited a lot. Thank you. And I think we're all gonna get the book and, you know, that is gonna, you know, guide us into this journey. This is the guidance that we need, you know, just to, you know, people who have gone before us, and so that they can come and give us the guidance that we need to navigate this journey. So we're truly grateful, and thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Please keep safe and all the best. I mean, when you graduate, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much. Have a wonderful day further, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.